I'm going to tell you what independent media should be telling you about how to gather with other people in your neighborhood for ideas related to freedom and truth and sharing all these ideas that the most of the world is just ignorant of or doesn't want to pay attention to. And yes, there are people like you out there. You just have to find them. They're everywhere, in fact. I talk to people across the world in the same state, in the same town, and they don't even know that they're in the same town, in the same state, in the same country. It's insane, but there's people everywhere. You just have to find them, especially since we are likely the outcast type, so we stay away from the rest of society, so we may stay away from the people who also think like us. And this is the key, is there are a lot of tools we can use to find people like us or find people who are open to the information that we have to share. And knowing how to share that information is one thing, and then what that information is another thing. So this is going to be a bunch of resources that you can use, and templates even, that you can use for your own neighborhood no matter where you live. Okay, so this is mostly for anybody who lives in America, but it could also be for anyone around the world. So let's begin. You have the Weston A. Price Foundation. They have chapters in every single state. In fact, they were mostly responsible for making raw milk legal in the 90s, 2000s. It's still going on, actually, and they've done a lot of work exposing what has happened recently concerning medicine. Now, there's also meetup.com. There's eventbrite.com and allevents. Okay, so all three of these I use if I want to promote an event or a get-together. Now, there's also highersidechats, freedomcells, Facebook groups, Telegram groups, wearechange chapters, MAFA meetings, and ASN assemblies. Now, you may not know what all these are. So Freedom Cells was developed by Derek Bros, freedomcells.org. Okay, have an account there. You'll see there's other people around you. Message every person that is in that area. Say, reach out to me on email. Bring everybody to one place. This is a good thing to do, generally speaking. But you can set up your own Freedom Cell in addition. And then again, bring people to somewhere that you constantly check, because it would be too difficult to check too many platforms and too many things at once. So have one place where everybody can see your work. Everybody can come together and contact you. So I have an email, right? And that email I put on everything. So everybody will contact me in one place. I don't have to worry about it. I say, hey, on Freedom Cells, contact me at coreye@disroot.org. Okay, don't contact me through Freedom Cells because I may miss it, right? And there's a lot of platforms I have to check, especially as a content creator. So that's very important that you do that. And some of these, like Freedom Cells, is promoted by content creators. Highersidechats, the same thing. And there's other ones like that I may not have mentioned. Okay, so be sure to mention them in the chat for other people who are watching this video. But use all the resources you can to your advantage. This is the internet. This is what it's for. So use it, okay? Facebook groups. Oh my gosh, I don't want to be on Facebook. You can set up a Facebook just for getting the message out there. How did you know about the alternatives? How do you know about Brighteon and BitChute and Odyssey and all these alternatives, Rumble? It's likely through the mainstream, YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, okay? And these change. They don't have the best policies. They may not be the best platforms, but you work with them to share the message. If you care about the message, it's about the message. Okay, now wearechange chapters, they're not going to be the most active, but you can check in for that. wearechange.org. MAFA stands for Make Americans Free Again. Okay, so MAFA meetings, they have over 170 different chapters across the states. They're not technically political, but a lot of people within can be political, usually right-leaning, okay? But they do share a lot of stuff about holistic health and a lot of ideas that are more free-minded. So have that to your advantage. Network with everybody that's there. Share your information, and the people who truly care about your information and what you have to say, they'll follow you and what you're doing and your events and everything else that has gone on. Because there's many people that I know who've set up their own groups that are not part of MAFA, but are. Meaning that they network with everybody, but they don't put themselves in a box. I'm one of those people. I don't put myself in a box. I don't say I belong to one group. I join many of these groups, and I'm simply in it for freedom, which is what all these groups share. That's why I created Florida United, to bring all the Florida groups together. So you can do something like that in your state if you feel like there's all these different groups and they're not united. right? The whole reason why I also created Nature is the Answer. You can make your own Nature is the Answer chapter in your state and use the flag if you want and use the resources I created on nita.one. Totally up to you. But there's also the American State Nationals Assemblies, okay? And I'll have some other things on the screen for you as you're watching. Okay, you can go to these web addresses and you can find chapters, contact coordinators, get involved, ask for a meetup. When are you going to meet in real life? When's your next event, right? And you'll see this for the more you reach out. And then as you reach out to one group, you find about another group, and you find another group, and you find another group. When you're on sites like Meetup and Eventbrite, you look up specifically Flat Earth, you look up Unvaxxed, you look up Truth, you look up Liberty, you look up Voluntarism, and see what pops up, okay? Your interest, it could be holistic health. And a lot of those people generally can be freedom-minded. Now, not necessarily all of them, but you'd be surprised. Now, there are certain particular strategies you can use aside from using all these online sites, okay? And for one, you can look up local content creators. For instance, you can look up audit communities. So you go on YouTube or some platform, you look up Florida audit or this town audit. There's actually audit channels for almost every single town I've seen out there, and especially very popular towns. Similarly, there's police confrontation communities online. Often mixed with the audit communities, there's people who go out there and just encourage filming the police. There's big communities online that share that and that are doing that, and they seem to be rather open-minded because they're basically dealing with the corruption of the system that is meant to protect us, which obviously it isn't protecting us. So do that. Find your local content creators. Do you know any content creators that live in your state or in your area? That's a great way to get involved, even if you're typing in the comment sections or typing to the content creator and seeing what you can gather up. Even if you're sharing with them your events, and even if they ignore you in the beginning, right? As you gather more people, you gather more noise, and eventually they see you, or they say, wow, look at this person in my community who's setting up an event. These are all strategies, by the way, of which I've used, which is why my very first event I did in Florida, and I came down here just a couple months ago, it was out the door. There was that many people, and people are very active down here. They may not be more active up north. I noticed it wasn't as active up there, but even then I met people there just through networking and meeting others and using these different strategies. I met very awesome people, very valuable people. So local writers is another thing you can do. People who write newspapers, articles online, right? You can find that. Even looking at the Mises Institute online, MISES, they have events that they do. There's one in Tampa actually coming up when I'm making this video. And they do ones all over the place sometimes. And even the writers of their articles come from different places. You can see where they're from. So that's another example. What are your favorite news sites, and do they list the writer and where they come from, like their background? Do they have personal sites, right? There's people who write for all sorts of independent news websites, but they don't usually have an action section. They don't usually really talk about these strategies I'm sharing with you now. It would be nice if they did, because I think a lot can happen if they did. Now, you can also network with a local business. This is my favorite strategy. And the reason why is because of how simple and powerful it is. You find one business in your area that is somewhat aligned to the message of freedom, truth, and holistic medicine per se, right? Anything along those lines. And it can be a homemade shop. They make all these homemade stuff. They allow you to sell your own products even. It's like a little bartering shop. And you notice everybody who walks in that shop, they tend to be very open-minded. They tend to be very nice. That's where you want to be, right? So you ask the store owner and you say, hey, what if we did an event here? Or, would you be open to doing events? Or do you know where we can do events, right? And then maybe they'll say, we can do them right here. Now they're doing free advertising for you when they share your event. Every customer who walks in who's already on the same page will be coming to you. You're not doing anything. The business is giving you free promotion, and you are promoting the business if, say, the event is at the business. So it gives them more business. It's a win-win relationship. So go out there and find a local business. Travel. Find it. If this is the one great work, as we call it, freeing humanity from its chains, from its bondage, then invest the time into it as if it's your job. Totally. For all hours of the day, as I do. look around for all the local businesses. You don't even have to go in person necessarily, but look online and then call them and see, right? But I would recommend, getting a feel in person too, right? Or maybe you do a combination of both. Do your research, find out. There's little nooks and crannies and communities that have been built all around the nation. There's Amish towns and communities. Who knows what they might want to get involved with? Okay, so don't close your mind to the possibility. Oh, they're political. Oh, they're this. What if they're actually open? What if they're looking for speakers? What if you can approach them from where they are and you're not imposing on them what to think? See, because if they are freedom-minded, then they will respect that you may have been in their shoes before and that you have unique information to share. Okay, so that I think is huge. Another thing, which is the project that I created, is creating a food forest. Creating a place to have events, to do all this stuff. Now, you can do this over time when you gather your community, or you can try to set it up maybe in your own backyard. Maybe in a park setting, where people allow you, they have a little bit of land, and you're like, I want to grow food, I want to make this an event spot, even if it's not a food forest. Make it a place where people can come together and have events. And then from there, maybe it'll grow. Maybe you can go on to another space. The possibility is limited by you. Okay? You are the ultimate determiner of your own success here. Okay? You can blame the world all you want, but you have all these resources in your hands and tons of people who are looking for change, who want change. And you have cars and transportation to reach the world, in any part of the world often. Information, the ability, the tools to do that too. You can read any book in the world, any video, but are you using it? This is the key. So, simplicity, right? And sharing, very important. You want to keep things very simple, very loud, to say, hey, this is what we're doing. We're making an impact. I make on my flyers, care about freedom. Here are a bunch of examples. I'll put them on the screen for you. A bunch of example events, okay, different flyers that I've made. And you can use these as templates if you want. Keeping it rather simple, but even when you're creating something like a business or a food forest or a local event place and you're worried about all the different technicalities, keep things simple, handshakes, one-page agreements. And when you're setting up an event, share it with people like me or share it with people like the content creators or people like Jim Gale in Florida. He would forward the information I give him so all his followers knows about the event that I'm holding. And that brought in a lot more people to my events. So sharing is very big, knowing where to share these events. And, what if it's like a bulletin board at a local supermarket? What if it's just on the streets handing it out to people? Maybe if it's going to a festival or an event and handing it out to people. There's abundance of ways to do it, but I recommend generally having a flyer, okay, for your event. Having a flyer like the one I created, very simple. I put 2 on 1 paper, okay? And if you have any questions, again, reach out to me. And when it comes to projects and plans, I do videos. And when it comes to questions and what do I do? Videos, right? And being honest and transparent as much as possible. But keeping things very simple. See, when you make these flyers, you can do it with Google Slides. When you make a thumbnail for a YouTube channel or whatever, content creation in general, you can use Photoscape X. When you make your video, you can edit with Filmora. Okay, and I have a whole video dedicated to resources. You can check that out. But online content creation is super important with this because when you have something in person, record it, make it last eternally. Take pictures, make it a memory. Do something that will make it infinitely more powerful. And as you gather more people, now they don't just have to be in person and they don't even have to necessarily be there because they might miss it. Now they can also watch it online. And if we're using all these tools to our benefit, now you got a network, now you're a content creator, you're everything. You're everything this world needs. Because so many people are either online or in person and they're missing the two, right? Or they're online and they're complaining but they're not taking action. Or there's people in person and they don't look at online and all the people who are producing all this great content talking about the world and what needs to change. So you need to be the one to bridge the gap. To bridge the gap between all these different communities that are all separated, all talk about their own thing, all staying in their own lane, and saying, here's a unifying quality that's freedom, and here are the tools, here's how we do it. Okay? These are my advices for you, okay? As an individual who may be a content creator, maybe not, be one. Start doing it. keeping it simple, produce out of your heart, okay? Do it. Just do it and see what happens. Even if you have 1, 2, 3 people show up, maybe it's just a couple of your friends that show up to every gathering, I guarantee you're going to have at least one new person, and that's progress. Just as I say, when you create a video channel and you start progressing, any progress is progress. It doesn't matter how fast or slow or how many followers and how many viewers. That doesn't matter. What matters is that you're following your passion, you're staying true to the truth, to yourself, and you keep going, you're persistent. And that's the thing, you do an event, you do it each month, right? You get people going, you make announcements on Telegram, you say Telegram's easy. Telegram I like to use because all it requires is a phone number and it's somewhat secure and they don't censor you. It's just a messaging platform. That's what I tell people. It's not even really a social media, okay? So use that, use whatever else you're comfortable with, but keep it simple, keep it to the point. That's what I suggest. Hopefully this video is helpful for you. Thank you very much for watching. This is Corey Enderlot. Nature is the answer.